Well, thank you very much, Chair. And it's been a terrific debate, hasn't it? Really good speeches. Dave Prentice has actually delivered the speech I'm about to deliver, actually. So, but I thought the best speech about how important a free National Health Service is wasn't actually delivered today. It was a speech delivered yesterday, which I think displayed tremendous eloquence, great dignity, fortitude. I thought Jenny Formby spoke with absolute courage, and what a reminder of the importance of our National Health Service. Look, so it's been a great debate. I'm here with my shadow ministers, my tremendous shadow ministers listening to debate, Sharon Hodgson, Julie Cooper, Glenys Thornton, Barbara Keeley. We're listening very carefully to all the discussions and all the contributions that I've made, and we'll continue to engage with all of you on our policy making through the process. But I just want to start by mentioning what happened a few days ago, when a 7-day-old baby girl was left waiting longer and longer on a busy hospital ward, waiting to see a doctor. Her father was anxious, tired, distraught, but totally determined to do all he could for his precious daughter. And when Boris Johnson swept through that hospital with photographers in tow on a PR stunt, this father confronted him. Any other parent would have done exactly the same. And in that raw moment, Omar Salam spoke for a nation. Because when a child is left waiting longer and longer for the care she needs, it matters not just to her and her family, but it matters to each and every one of us too. It matters that 4.4 million people are on the waiting list for treatment. It matters that 620,000 patients wait over 18 weeks for treatment. It matters that 79,000 operations get cancelled. It matters that 18,000 children's operations get cancelled. It matters to each and every one of us that we are bottom of the league for cancer survival, and 34,000 of our friends and family wait over 2 months just to begin cancer treatment. Now, I am pleased to report that Omar's daughter is doing well and stable, and the family send their thanks for the support and gratitude they've been shown. But their family's example so powerfully reminds us that it matters we get a Labour government to save our NHS. A Labour government to prevent the medicine shortages of a Tory no-deal Brexit, and a Labour government to fight a trade deal with Trump that will sell off our NHS. It matters that we get a Labour government to end austerity, to bring waiting lists down, stabilise our A&Es, to provide the best cancer quality care that patients deserve. And it matters that we get a Labour government that will commit to really improving mental health services, and will make a solemn pledge that no child should ever be denied the mental health care that they need. We will rebuild child and adolescent mental health services. We'll provide mental health support for schools, reform the Mental Health Act, invest in eating disorder and suicide prevention services. True parity of esteem for mental health, a slogan for so long, will be a reality with Labour. Every year, 3,000 people lose their lives because of drink or drugs. I've shared with you my own story, growing up with a father who had a drink problem and died in the end because of it. It coloured all my life growing up. And you've given me tremendous support. You really have. And you know I care about this issue. I've actually ran 3 London marathons now for an alcoholism charity. I mean, don't worry, that's not my suggestion for funding the health service in government. I mean, it'd be a lot of running. I don't want to give John McDonnell any ideas, but look, whether it's alcohol or drugs or opioids or gambling, we are facing an addiction crisis in society. So, I will not walk by on the other side. We'll properly fund addiction recovery services, and it's time we were brave and took a public health approach to drugs as well. Now look at the state of our NHS. We've lost 14,000 beds in the NHS under the Tories. Operating theatres close as ceilings fall in and sewage pipes burst. Mental health patients languish on old-style dormitory wards. Diagnostic equipment is outdated. We have some of the lowest numbers of MRI scanners per head in Europe. Family doctors are expected to practice in decrepit buildings and porter cabins with slow IT that crashes all the time. This is what happens when you have a Tory government cutting NHS budgets by billions. Patients deserve better. So in the election, we will outline a plan to rebuild our hospitals and health centres. We'll invest in the best modern equipment and technology. And it will all be done through actual, real public spending, not cash cons like Boris Johnson's, and it certainly won't be done by PFI either. Local hospitals and health centres are the part of the fabric of society. They are valued local employers that often where our children are born or where we finally say goodbye to our loved ones. Shut services down and something invaluable vanishes from a community. Now, of course, nothing stays the same. Medicines advance, treatments evolve, new facilities are built. I think we all understand that. But we need more capacity, not less. So I can tell you, cuts and closures because of Boris Johnson's austerity will be halted, suspended, decisions reviewed based on clinical evidence and social impact instead. Now, earlier this year, I was inspired. I really was. And that doesn't happen so often. I'm quite grumpy these days. But I was inspired earlier this year. I was inspired by a young woman called Greta Thunberg. Climate change is one of the biggest health crises we face. Air pollution kills up to 40,000 people every year. And meanwhile, today's NHS emits 27 million tonnes of CO2 per year. As Health Secretary, I'll declare a climate emergency across our NHS. A Labour government will deliver the greenest health service in the world. As we rebuild our hospitals, we'll invest in solar panels, in energy efficiency schemes. We'll move to a fleet of low-emission ambulances, and we'll guarantee patients and staff a right to green space with an NHS forest, 1 million trees planted across our NHS estate, a tree for every member of staff, a Green New Deal for our NHS, the greenest health service in the world with Labour. Now, our NHS staff, I mean, they really are its greatest asset. Don't they make you proud, our NHS staff? Absolutely. Don't they make you proud, conference? But I tell you, it makes me so angry to see them taken for granted and forced to do more and more with less and less. But we will guarantee fair pay, will increase training and professional development budgets, will legislate for safe staffing, and to train 24,000 extra nurses and midwives will bring back the training bursary as well. And as we've heard in this debate, to those who work in our NHS from across the world, whether the EU or beyond, you have our thanks, you have our support, you have our solidarity, your rights will be protected, and in a Labour NHS you will always be welcome too. Now, this past year, I've also stood shoulder to shoulder with union members on picket lines, whether that's Unison members in Bradford campaigning against their transfer to wholly owned subsidiaries, or Unite striking health visitors in Lincoln. So I can tell you, we'll deliver agenda for change, pay for public health staff and block those backdoor privatisations as well, conference. Now, we all know how difficult it is to get a GP appointment. You know, you've all done it, haven't you? You've been ringing through, can't get through, pressing redial after redial after redial. And when you do get an appointment, it's like weeks away. I mean, you know, what's the point of that? I mean, it's actually because the Tories have cut 1,600 GPs. That's what the Tories have done. So I can tell you, a Labour government will expand GP training places to 5,000 a year, helping deliver 27 million extra GP appointments there for you and your family when you need it. More doctors, more nurses, more midwives. That's the Labour promise. That's what we'll deliver in government. And as we've heard in the debate with the motions, patients actually want coordinated care, but instead we have got this fragmented mess where every year billions of pounds flow out of the NHS into private hands. It means patient transport services go to firms who subcontract, leaving patients stranded, and staff, like those magnificent GMB members here in Brighton, have to go weeks without pay. It sees cancer scanning services traded like some commodity, and it allows an outfit like Virgin Care to sue our NHS. Well, I'm telling you, I'm calling time on this racket. Healthcare should be delivered. Healthcare should be delivered on the basis of human need, not driven by markets, profits and competition. Privatisation will end. Care will be planned. Decisions democratically accountable. A national care service will be built. The Health Secretary's responsibilities for healthcare returned. And yes, we will repeal the Health and Social Care Act, legislating to reinstate, renationalise, restore a publicly administered, publicly accountable, comprehensive, universal national health service. Come on, I've got more, but I don't want the chair to tell me to wind up. I thought you might like that, though. Look, all my life, when growing up, or today in my Leicester South constituency, I've seen poverty scar the lives of far too many people. You know, after years of austerity, life expectancy has ground to a halt. It's even gone backwards for some of the poorest. You know, infant mortality rates, that's babies dying before their first birthday. These rates have actually risen 4 years in a row for the first time since the Second World War. Hospital admissions for malnutrition have trebled. Inequality, poverty, deprivation condemns people to becoming ill quicker and dying sooner. As socialists, we can't settle for this. So defeating these health inequalities will be my mission. We'll start by fully funding public health services. We'll prioritise children's health and tackle childhood obesity. We'll have a health and all policies rule as well, because it's not just about the Department of Health, it's about housing, benefits, education, the economy, and so on. And we'll enshrine in law a commitment to defeat health inequities for a new Future Generations Wellbeing Act. Healthier, happier, longer lives. That is our goal. That is our mission. But you know, we cannot fully tackle these inequalities if people, especially those with chronic conditions, are forced to choose between paying for a prescription or putting food on their table. Holly Warboys was 19, with a life of promise and opportunity ahead of her. Holly died when struck down by an asthma attack. She didn't have a full inhaler because she couldn't afford one. I cannot possibly imagine the heartbreak her family must have gone through. But I do know this: people shouldn't have to pay to breathe. Prescription charges are a tax on illness. So yes, I can confirm that the next Labour government will abolish all prescription charges. So, Boris Johnson, this coming election is a fight for the future of our NHS. And it's a fight for each and every one of us in every community. It's a fight for a fully funded NHS, a fight for a national care service, a fight to end privatisation, for more doctors, more nurses, for the health of every child first, for free prescriptions, for the best quality care for all, a public and universal NHS. This is what we strive for. This is what we're fighting for. The next Labour government will rebuild our NHS. Thank you. Thank you.